Everyone, Mr. Happy here, and today we're going to be taking a look at some updates that were made to the Endwalker special site. Now, whenever there's any new information we could pick apart, whether it be for an expansion or an individual patch, we're all over it every time. We're looking for those little scraps because we're that desperate to get any more information before November 19th when we get into the game in early access. And there's just a few additional things here, some descriptions, some pictures, some of which we've already seen before. And we're just going to go over those real quick, and I'll give you some speculation based on what some of them say. Now, in order to speculate on certain things, I will be referencing experiences I had in the recent media tour. As such, in one case in particular, one of the new entries, I kind of want to say something that involves some spoilers from the media tour. So I'll do two things. One, I'll warn you now there's spoilers, and two, I'll give you the opportunity to mute the audio for the thing that I'm going to say. I'll do this, and I'll give you another verbal warning when it's done, and then I'll do this when the spoilers are done. Okay? I'll also add chapters that say spoiler start, spoiler end at the bottom, so that way you know that we're past it. So that should be good. Let's move on and actually talk about the new stuff. So whenever you want to check to see if there's new things on the Endwalker site, there's normally an update on the lodestone, and then they also have these little dots here on the site itself. So we go down the story. We're unfortunately already at story, so I just have to scroll down. All this stuff was here before. Screenshot of the Warrior of Light, the promotional artwork, what Endwalker is, all the new zones. If you've never looked at this site, there's a ton of great art and descriptions to the various areas. I think we've even covered them in a previous video, so be sure to go give those a look-see. There's even some videos on the site itself showing some of the walkthroughs of the various areas. Then we have the new tribes, the Arca-Sodara, there we go. I always mispronounce it. And the Loporrits, we knew about them. But then we come to new trials. This was the new thing that was added here. And we have two entries, Anima and the Magus Sisters, or Magus Sisters, whichever you prefer. Now, this is nothing new here. We've seen these before, but we now have descriptors of it and access to the artwork as well. For Anima, encased in an otherworldly carapace bound with a thick chain, this abomination is agony made flesh. Within its hollow eyes burns a baleful light, and as its jagged maw hangs, belching forth searing light. There's nothing we can pull apart. There's so much speculation about who Anima is. Some people think that it's just like Xenos' Void Scent avatar, since, he's picking up the scythe and playing Reaper. Some people think it's his mother. So we're no closer to figuring out who she actually is, what she actually is, but hey, it's nice artwork and a nice description, I suppose. Now, coming up to this Magus Sisters section, I'm going to do that spoiler warning thing because there is something I want to say that is entirely speculation, but I need to pull from things that I already know. So, spoilers beginning now. When you see the thumbs up again, you can unmute or just use the chapter thing in the description of the video or in the little line that directs how long the video is. Magus Sisters. So, a trinity of gods long revered by the people of Thavnair. Sindaruva the eldest is said to be the bearer of wisdom, Sandaruva that of prosperity, and Mindaruva the youngest, ingenuity. I find it very interesting that Sindaruva is the eldest. So, the Magus Sisters is a reference to both Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy X. Where Sandy is generally considered to be the leader of the crew, but they're making Cindy the leader of the crew right here. And Mindy is always kind of the young one, the young rambunctious one when it comes to the sisters themselves. Now, what's interesting here, and since I've already given you a spoiler warning, I'm going to trust that if you don't want to hear this, you already have it muted or whatever. But they are the dungeon boss that we encountered at the media tour in the Tower of Zot. And that is... it caught us a little bit off guard. It makes perfect sense, especially given that we already had the artwork for the Magus Sisters, and we saw them in that dungeon artwork with the Arca-Sodaras already encased. So it's not like really defying expectation, but normally when they unveil new threats in like live letter announcements and stuff, it is normally a trial. So seeing them as the dungeon boss was like, I wonder if this is even the right dungeon boss. Like maybe they just put these in here so we wouldn't know what the actual dungeon bosses were. It makes too much sense not to have them in there. So my other theory is that they would be both a dungeon boss and a trial boss. And while I hear other versions of this site do not use the word trials and that this is more like a threats kind of thing where they're not necessarily a trial and they could just be a dungeon boss, I think that something more is probably going to happen because I do think the Magus Sisters will be a proper 8-man trial. I think they're going to actually form together to create a Sura, and that is what is being left out at this point. Because the Magus Sisters, yeah, you can take them as a dungeon boss, then make them harder as a trial, But I do think that they're going to be a trial of some kind. There's other entities that they could become. They are the history that they're drawing from and the folklore that they're drawing from for the Magus Sisters and Fafnir has a ton of possibilities. It's mind-boggling to even like try to narrow it down based on what they're referencing, but that's going to be what I'm throwing. That's my speculation. I'm throwing it in the hat. They are going to form together. Each of their masks will become one of the 3 masks of Asura from Final Fantasy IV. With that, I'm going to say spoilers over. Cool, you're back. Welcome back. We have a couple of other things to talk about here on the site itself. Now, as we go down to new challenges, we have a description for the high-end raid of Pandemonium. I might need to do a spoiler warning here too. So Pandemonium is the new 8-man raid series. It's equivalent to our Eden, our Omega, our Alexander, and our Coil. And the description is interesting. Far beneath the ground upon which mortals trend, steeped in darkness, deep as starless night, ancient power lies dormant. Too hungry, too brutal, too monstrous, what cannot be controlled must be contained. Here, in Pandemonium, dare you make the descent. Now, La Habrea is present on the screen right here. And that has led to a lot of speculation about where this will be or what it will be. Now, on the ground mortals tread would lead us to believe that this is something deep within Hydaelyn. Now, we know some things throughout the story. I guess I won't do a spoiler warning. I'll just be very ambiguous. But we know some things that imply that this is already known. We've been given context clues that something like this already exists in the game itself. And as such, I think most people are going to lean towards one specific theory with this being that it was a part of some events that happened long ago that were very, very important. Now, what La Habrea has to do with it is questionable. Whether or not he is the creator of this Pandemonium, if he discovered Pandemonium, if he was playing a role in containing this thing, and it's leftover remnants of his work that has since been uncovered in the aftermath of whatever is going to happen in Endwalker. So there's a few theories about what it actually is, but what the threat is kind of already been alluded to in the story. And I'm a little bit more excited about this than I was. And I was already very excited about Pandemonium from a story standpoint. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the answer to this actually ends up being, because we gotta move on after 6.0 from this Hydaelyn Zodiac stuff. So we gotta tie this up. Anything with the Ascians, with La Habrea, we gotta tie these things up, man. And then one last little section here, a little preliminary section for new small-scale PvP content. The perfect introduction to PvP, this brand new content brings the opportunity for casual players to participate in heart-pounding battles without role restrictions for plentiful new rewards. That's it. It's the most generic description of what PvP should generally be in a game. But other than just saying it is the perfect introduction. Now, they are supposed to be talking about this on November 5th, when they're also going to be talking more about certain crafting and gathering stuff. And hopefully we'll get some more information on other topics we're still a little bit in the dark on. But this is supposed to be a highlight because PvP in 14 is, I don't want to say it's on life support, but it's on life support. So I guess I do want to say it. And it needs some life breathed into it, big time. And this is supposed to be how they do it, by making sure it has a better reward structure, by making sure it's more approachable, by making sure it's not all these super large-scale 48, 72-man encounters that if you don't have all those people, it's just not the same experience. It's not built for that. And I'm hopeful, because there's a lot of basic things they could do with PvP that would just make it really good. And I want it to be that. I've enjoyed it in the past, but it's just gotten so different and I don't like it right now. So I'm hoping that this does well, and I'm hoping that once this does well, they bring back the competitive mode, because we know that the Feast's rank mode will be turned off for the introduction of the new small-scale PvP content. So that needs to come back, or they need a competitive mode for this, or whatever it is their plan is. But I do want to see the return of a competitive mode in 6.1. So I'm hoping that they actually do that. That is all the new information that is available. Everything else here is the usual: buy our game, buy our expansion, dungeon, art, all that stuff. So with that, thanks for watching this quick little video. Be sure to bookmark this site and check it regularly if you're not someone who actually checks the lodestone, because I know some of you don't check the lodestone. You should really check the lodestone. This video exists because you don't check the lodestone. With that, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.